Cape Cod Broadcasting weaves the listening environments of 99.9 WQRC, Ocean 104.7, WFCC Classical 107.5, Cape Country 104, and CapeCon.com's website experience to reflect the lifestyles of the people who live, work, and play on Cape Cod. We hope that you enjoy this podcast.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm here in the studio with Wayne Soares, an inspirational speaker, movie actor, author, comedian here on the Cape. And I was thinking that with all the stresses of the holidays, it's nice to have a little levity this time of year. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Laura. It's great to be here.
Now, you have a lot of things happening with 2 films coming out, local appearances at schools. But let's start with you telling listeners a little bit about yourself for those who don't know you.
Well, I went to school at Falmouth High School and graduated from there and attended and graduated from North Adams State College, which is now the Mass College of Liberal Arts. My first job was in the New York Mets minor league organization. I spent 6 years in the organization as an announcer, finished at the AAA level, and I got into some Boston radio, WEEI, after that. And then I get my dream job at ESPN Radio and was there at the network for a little over 11 years.
So a longtime radio guy. And, of course, you grew up in Falmouth. You've stayed in Falmouth. What does the town mean to you?
Well, I love the town of Falmouth. There's a great sense of cohesiveness with people. Someone has a problem, everybody rallies to get around, that particular person or, that family. And Falmouth is it's a great, great, great community. I think we've got some wonderful leadership there. We've got a phenomenal school program, school administration. It's a great place to grow up.
Now, you've got an inspirational talk that you're giving to kids in Mashpee coming up next week, and you've done that many times over the years for a number of years. When did you start giving inspirational talks to kids? How did that all come about?
Well, Laura, it actually, by accident, I was asked in the infancy of my career at ESPN Radio to come back and do something, a Little League banquet in my hometown of Falmouth. And I didn't have any notes, just got up and kind of winged it. And the people came up to me afterwards and said, boy, that was really good. Geez, are you a speaker? I said, no, this is the first time that I've done something like this. And I really began to think about it. And I really kind of, got into it. And I had a wonderful, wonderful mentor, Norm Bosio, who is a legendary international speaker and lives in Lakeville. And he kind of took me under his wing. And then it was just going out and hammering the phones and calling up people and doing that, that cultivating to get your name out there. And I was very fortunate to get some work with the MIAA. And from there, the Basketball Hall of Fame, I presented there, and then I've done some colleges. I've been a featured speaker at Harvard University, the University of Notre Dame, and Williams College, to name a few. So that's how it just kind of all snowballed.
Now, when you go in and talk to the young kids, what do you talk about to them?
Well, right now I'm on a national anti-bullying campaign, and it's titled The Power of Your Words and Actions. And it's amazing that we really don't think sometimes when we say things that for a young child, it can really leave an impression. And it can really leave a sting. And I had a situation that I talked to quite a bit about being 11 years old, and there was a Major League Baseball player, and I went to an autograph signing, and he was alone in a restaurant, and I asked him, what's the best way to hit a curveball? And he looked at me, and he really snapped at me and said, "With a bat, kid." And I told this about 3 months ago at a national sales convention in Chesapeake Bay, Maryland, and it was probably about 85% males, and everybody laughed. And they thought it was wonderful, and I let the laughter die down. And I said, "Yeah, that's a funny story." I said, "But if that was your son, your grandson, or your granddaughter, or your daughter, it wouldn't be so funny."
Could be devastating for a kid.
Very, very, very much so. Very much so. So I always try to leave the kids with something funny that they can take with them. But my message is very powerful. It's very, very, very positive. And a lot of administrators and teachers, and they've really, kind of supported this, and they like it quite a bit.
Now, what kind of reaction do you get from the kids?
It's amazing. I'm like the Pied Piper. And I find that a lot of the kids that come from single families, they really kind of identify with me. My grandmother was a very, very, very big force in my life. I grew up without a father, and a lot of those kids, my grandmother, raised me, and a lot of those kids, they really identify. And I've done speaking in Maine where the kids they're around you and they won't say anything during an assembly, but when they get you one-on-one, I had a situation in Springfield 4 years ago where I did an elementary school in Agawam, and this little kid off to the side, he came up to me and he said, Mr. Soares, you really inspired me. And I found out later that the kid just had an abysmal home life, and he was the first kid at school every day because he wanted to get out of his house, and he was the last kid to leave the school. So I can't even tell you. You can't put words on how gratifying it is when you're able to reach, kids or kids. I like to, whenever I do interviews such as this, I like to say I'm very greedy. I don't like to reach one kid. I like to reach 25 or 30.
And that must be so gratifying.
Yeah, I've been, without sounding, egotistical, but I've been really blessed with the ability to reach kids. I mean, when you go into an auditorium of 800 kids in probably one of the toughest neighborhoods in East Haven, Connecticut, and you have the attention of 800 kids at a high school, well, that says something about your message and your presence. And I think too, Laura, kids, they can identify if you're a phony. I mean, before you even open your mouth,
they know it a mile away.
They can see it when you're getting out of your car in the parking lot. So I really, really, really enjoy what I do, and I just get a great satisfaction out of it.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal. I'm talking with Wayne Soares from Falmouth, who is an inspirational speaker, movie actor, author. And now you have some exciting news about recently finishing up the shooting on a movie and a second one coming out as well. Tell us about your movie career right now, Wayne.
Well, I've been very blessed. God has been great in my life. It's just been mind-boggling over the course of the last year. I had an opportunity to audition for a mob documentary, which is a true story. It's called My Father, My Don. It was the true story of the life of a Genovese crime boss, James Jimmy Napoli. And I played a crime boss in that. From there, I auditioned for another movie, The Curse of Don Scarducci, and it's brilliantly written by a very, very, very talented young man named Chris Fondulis. And it's about a mob boss that has gluten allergies. And it's a mob comedy. And the great part of that movie is that I had a chance to work with Alec Baldwin. And everyone asked me, what's he like? Boy, is he tough. He's a consummate professional, and he has, the presence of a Clark Gable, of a Brad Pitt, of an Errol Flynn.
Lots of charisma.
Just charisma. It just exudes. It's just unbelievable. And we really had a great cast, Neil Parisi, Matt Garofalo, Rob LaPretta, wonderful, wonderful actors out of New York, and that's where we filmed it. So we're hoping to do a premiere right before Christmas. We're working on that right now, which will be here in probably my hometown of Falmouth. And we just recently, as of yesterday, finished a crime drama, which I was very fortunate to win a role in. I played a detective, and it's called Snitches, and that kind of gives you a little bit of the whole everybody's a snitch in the movie. And it's just a phenomenal full-length feature movie directed by Steve Rahaman and also written by Steve and another very, very, very talented young man, Eric Wegner. And we just had some great people and a great cast.
Now that's the one that just finished up.
Yeah,
we just
finished it up.
So what
this
happens to that movie next?
Right now, they will go into editing, and they will do their post editing and so forth. And they're probably looking to have something in the spring, and it will most likely be in New York because that's where they want to have the biggest bang. But there's going to be a bunch of outlets where we'll be doing that. Could have one here on Cape Cod.
Now, are these studio pictures? I mean, will we be able to see these at the multiplex, or how does that all work?
I think what they're trying to do with snitches is they really want to get that into they'll do some premieres and they'll do some screenings, and they're really looking to get it into the 2016 Sundance Film Festival, which would give it excellent exposure and hopefully have an interest of making it into either a TV series or some type of miniseries, and then maybe do the movie thing. But I don't have a lot of say in that. That's really Steve's ball game and his people. But I was just really, really, really thrilled and privileged to be a part of it.
Now, how does that all work? Because you said you were at first in, did you say a documentary was the first one you were in, and then did the casting people get a hold of you, and that's how you got in these other two movies? Yes,
I work with a casting agency out of New York, and it was also, too, the camaraderie in these, Laura. I met some great people on the set of My Father, My Dawn. They were doing some other projects, and they said, hey, geez, you know what? Wayne was, he was pretty good. And, when you have the respect of your peers, when they know that you work hard, you're on time, and they know that you can nail a scene, that really, 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 that does wonders, for your reputation in the industry.
So it's a lot of movie work, and as you say, one of them might even turn into a series. Do you still see yourself doing a lot more acting and things having to do with these projects?
Yeah, I do. I really do, because, as they say, I've been bitten by the bug. We have something that is on the back burner. It's a great, great, great true life mob story, and it's called For Members Only. And the book is actually out. If you go on the internet, you can check it out. And a very, very, very dear friend of mine, Jerry Vero, is in the process of trying to get this to the to the next level. So there's a lot of good things. I just a couple of weeks ago I had lunch with the great Bo Svensson. You might know that name from Walking Tall, and also I believe North Dallas 40. Bo is just a great, great, great guy, and he actually has a wonderful movie that he's looking to bring to Boston, and it's called Don't Call Me Sir. And I don't want to give away the screenplay, but it's just a brilliant, brilliant movie. And Bo is a very, very impressive. He has presence that is just. I mean, he's about 6'8". I mean, he dwarfs me. And I'm 6'4". And he's a Marine. Fourth degree black belt in judo, and he's directed everyone from Robert Redford to Mickey Rooney to Dennis Hopper. So hopefully there'll be some great opportunity there as well.
Now, it sounds like you've been playing mobsters in 3 movies in a row. Are you worried about getting typecast?
No, not really. This last one I had a flip side because I played a detective. So instead of being one of the bad guys, I was trying to arrest the bad guy. So there's a lot of action in this. I won't give anything away, but I meet my fatal ending, and I really kind of get beat up towards the end. So
now, how do you research these roles?
For My Father, My Dawn, and for The Curse of Don Scarducci, I went to New York, and I went into and hung around with wise guys. And
now, how did that all come? Where'd you find the wise guys?
Well, I looked them up in the phone book. No, very person who's become a good friend, Tony Napoli, the story is about his dad. I asked him because I really wanted to study the characters, and it's wonderful because when you have that respect, one of the worst things that you can do is do a movie about the mob and leave something out that's traditional or respectful. And I went in and kept my mouth shut, and I studied, and I was able to ask some questions, and the mannerisms, and just really about the respect that we did in My Father, My Dawn. And then I was able to kind of have the look in The Curse of Don Scarducci, and to kind of be the guy that told jokes, but still I was very, very, very serious. So I really researched them. I had a very good friend of mine who was on the police force in Falmouth, and for this detective movie, I should say the crime movie where I played a detective, I was able to go ahead and pick his brains on how my character should be portrayed. And I think for anybody that's a youngster out there that's getting into acting or is doing it now in college or high school, you really need to become immersed in your character. And I just did an interview recently, and somebody asked me how I would prepare, for a role. So if I know I'm going to be angry, I don't get a lot of sleep the night before. I kind of, deprive myself of some sleep. So I'm kind of cranky on the set, and the littlest thing would go ahead and just light a fuse with me. And, if I'm going to play something that's sad, I would beforehand listen to, some real sad music and get myself in that zone. And it's very, very, very important when you're an actor to get yourself in that zone, because when that camera goes on and you have an opportunity to take that scene, you don't know who's going to see it. You've got to be able to do it. You can't. You can't just kind of, oh, well, that's okay. You've got to be aggressive, and you've got to take it.
So a bit of method acting there, and you're trying to really live the part and really feel it. But you hadn't really had some acting training before all this came up, had you?
Not really, but I've been on, with my comedy, with my stand-up comedy, and especially now with what I do for the troops. I'm in front of anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 people for a show, especially if I'm overseas. So that doesn't really, I don't get, everyone gets butterflies. I don't care if you're speaking in front of elementary school students or whatever. The good ones, I remember somebody asked Frank Sinatra if he ever got nervous, and he said, I get butterflies all the time, right before he goes on. That's just the nature of getting ready and being prepared. But I just really, really, I enjoy it. And, you're kind by saying method acting, but I've always, I just try to prepare in everything. And again, just really become, immersed in that role.
And one thing we didn't talk about too much, but you just mentioned it, so I wanted to bring it up again, is that you have done a lot of work speaking to the troops, and talk about that quickly. Well,
I leave December 13th. I will be over in Germany, and I'll be performing at some military hospitals, which I really enjoy because it's right before the holidays. And it just to be able to bring some laughter and some smiles to our men and women that are abroad, it's one of the highlights of my life, and I enjoy doing it. And the military has been wonderful to me in giving me some exposure, allowing me to be able to the privilege to be able to go into a military hospital or to perform for our troops. And it's wonderful and it's gratifying, and I look forward to it.
Well, Wayne, this has been so much fun. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure, Laura. It's wonderful, and hope to be back soon.
I'm Laura Reckford, and this is Sunday Journal.
This podcast is a presentation of Cape Cod Broadcasting, which is solely responsible for its content. Thank you for listening. For more information, please visit us at capecodbroadcasting.com.